we're not done. Jaden Rashada has found the new home. Kenny Dillingham doing pretty well there. The quarterback who had all the stories, all the drama, the Florida screwing up the NIL or whatever the story is, he commits to play not far from where he's from in California at Arizona State.
Yeah, and it was interesting to note in the stories I read about him, the sources are around Jaden Rashada are saying that this time when he went through this part of the recruitment, it wasn't about how many deals you can get before you get on campus. I think he learned his lesson there. He's going to get money. We know that. But, he got so burned and then dragged through the mud through all that stuff. And, I don't even think he's the biggest one to blame and all that. I think we've been through that. So I'm glad for him. That's his dream school, really, anyway. That's where his dad went to school. That's where, when Jaden Rashada was running around as a little kid, the shirts he had, the clothes he was wearing was Arizona State because that's where his dad played. Dad played for Phil Snow, as a matter of fact, there at Arizona State. So, that's a huge get for Kenny Dillingham. I really hope it works out for Jaden and for Arizona State because, I kind of feel bad that he's gotten dragged through this when it was adults in the room that made this shady deal. And now, it's kind of exposed what we already knew about NIL anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good job by Kenny Dillingham to just swoop in there and land him. But given the connections, it makes sense. It's not like it's some really super random, like, where did this come from? I mean, there's actually some reasoning behind it outside of just recruiting. And so, great get for Arizona State. I mean, I don't know where that ranks as far as the highest prospects that they've signed over the years, but I'd have to imagine he's pretty high up there. To look at their quarterback room right now, it's not going to be a situation where he's got to be thrust right into the action because of what they were able to do through the transfer portal. And you're going to have Drew Pine and Trent Bourget. I don't know if that's the proper pronunciation, but those will be your two main guys. And so he can sit back and just develop, which is, not going to probably always be the case with super high-profile quarterbacks and hasn't always been the case, but I think that will be good for him to kind of just slow the ride down a little bit. Like you got your big wild recruiting, situation finally under control. You're not going to be under the microscope now because, hey, you're signed and you're sealed and you're delivered and, Miami fans can leave you alone and you just Florida fans and whoever can just be done with you. Although I'm sure he'll hear from them forever in his mentions depending on how he performs over time. But, now he can just focus on the Sun Devils and everybody else can focus on themselves. And, Kenny Dillingham and that program can get to work on trying to correct all the issues left by Herm Edwards and just trying to find their place in this new Pac-12 that's soon to transform with the LA schools leaving. So, really great get for Kenny Dillingham. He's a super young coach, but he, like Rashada with the bloodlines that you mentioned, I mean, Dillingham obviously has very strong ties himself to Arizona State. So that's an interesting little hometown-ish kind of combination that maybe is the spark that they need to sort of thrust themselves back into prominence. That'd make a great story.
It's you know what? It's kind of a nice part of it's all back to where it probably almost started in the first place, as you mentioned, with Dillingham, his father there. Phil Snow was talking to us a couple weeks ago about that when we saw him in Waco when Nebraska had their coaches in town, Matt Rule, Garrett McGuire, Evan Cooper, and others. All right,
and
so
looking at Dillingham's offense, I mean, if you're Rashada, like, hey, that'll be fun too.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes sense from a lot of different standpoints, and I like that it wasn't some big splash. It's kind of like Brady's retirement. It's like we did the whole thing already. We did the big, to-do before, so let's just make a decision and get to work, right? Or in Brady's case, get to retirement. And so I like that there wasn't necessarily a ton of a circus around this, just going and making your decision and making it official.
And yet again, I don't know if I saw anybody that I don't care about too much. I know everyone has their sights. I didn't see that. Like tomorrow or he's going to or committed. He just kind of quietly after so much time and drama and energy. Good for Jaden Rashada.